Right, we'll kick off. Welcome everybody. Hopefully you can see my screen. I'm Roger Teagle from Cedar Bay. Today's presentation, I hope you're enjoying the acu-connect events. We're only halfway through the first day, so we're coming up to halfway through the first day. So lots to go and lots of interesting sessions coming up. My session is around our barcoding, scanning and labeling solution for Acumatica. We've been in the barcode scanning arena for nearly 30 years now, working in that area around ERP systems. The incarnation that you're going to see today has been running for about 15 years. The technology sort of stack, if you like. And it's been run with over 150 customers in about 25 countries. So it's been extensively used in some very big setups, very big installations where we've had tens of sites and hundreds of users using the solution. We ported it to Acumatica about 4 years ago. We are a Acumatica reseller and ISV in the UK, so you can probably tell from my accent. And we probably have implemented this around 50 to 60% of our customers in the UK are using this solution and getting some great benefits from it. So we'll crack on and go through the presentation. I'm going to do some introductory slides and then go through and then actually demo the product, which will be interesting using the Ring Central software, because it's quite difficult to try and get multiple windows, so please bear with me. Starting off badly because I need to find my... Sorry, just find my on my presenter view. Okay. So what the objectives of what we were trying to do? So Cedar Bay data capture is all around streamlining and error-proofing your Acumatica processes. So when I talk about streamlining, so what we tend to do in our transactions is connect together what may be in multiple screens in Acumatica and put them in a really simple format for end users to use, and configurable and flexible so that you can get them exactly as you want them for your end users, so that the data collection becomes super easy. The error proofing bit is very key to it, because we talk around and we help people design the processes so that we make sure that we do checks through the process by barcodes, by scanning barcodes or scanning products, to make sure that you actually are picking the right goods, or you're issuing the right goods to an order. Make sure that that's all correct, so all of the data is correct at the point of collection, and it becomes part of the process. We talk about synchronizing your data flow with your material and your material flows through the business. The end result of that is obviously providing the data, the businesses with better real-time data for better decision making. So the better, being able to produce information real time at the point that it's done within the manufacturing distribution process or service, as Elaine's pointed out, is really important for better decision making and getting you better data through the processes. So how do we help Acumatica users? So then we have around 20 transactions standard transactions that be configured, and that sort of morphs into lots more transactions in reality. So the first part of the thing is that we're real-time connected to Acumatica. We use the native Acumatica REST APIs. We connect in, so you get instant error feedback with anything you do. So if you're meant to be scanning a purchase order barcode and you scan a Coke can, it will, unless you're shipping Coke cans or receiving Coke cans, then it will flag up that that's an error right away. We make the screens configurable so that we can make them very, very simple to make sure that the end users see a very easy to use solution. That reduces training and makes it super simple and reduces the errors. Excuse me. We have validation built in, so when you're actually moving things, we can turn on validation to ask you to do checks. Some people won't want to do that all the time, and there's a level which is appropriate for everybody's business. So the configuration allows you to choose how much validation you actually do. We often add functionality into Acumatica to streamline the processes. So example of that is within the shipping and picking processes, where sometimes you may have allocated some particular materials, particularly in a lot controlled environment. That may be a situation where when you actually go to pick it, you can't get to that lot. It might be behind another lot, and therefore what we can do is let you change the allocations as you go through, and that's something that helps you streamline the processes, because you don't have to go back to a main screen to do it. Full configuration of the menus and the users and everything, and we'll go through and show that in a little later. And labeling is a key part of the solution. Many people, when I was at Summit in a distribution session, there was lots of people struggling with printing to traditional sort of zebra style roll label printers. That's bread and butter for us. We do that, and we integrate that within the transactions. So if I'll demonstrate some transactions later on where the label printing comes out as part of the process, and that's how you need it to be to make it streamlined and slick. So to keep it simple for the users, the typical screens, that's what it looks like: a main menu screen, an Acumatica behind it. Again, we'll go and have a look at that. All of that's configurables, the icons, the colors, the number of things on the screen, all configurable by yourselves. It also runs, so the two typical user interfaces are Android, which most of the barcode scanners nowadays are all running Android. All the Zebra ranges are running Android. We also have Windows clients to enable you to run on tablets if you want, or Android tablets, obviously, or just a sort of terminal on the shop floor for simplified data collection. Just an example of different icons and different colors. This is just going through the menu into the next level, and everything scales. It automatically scales to fit the window size that you're on. Typical screens layout. We've gone through main menus, manufacturing, and this is tailored to your users and your user groups. When you get into the actual transaction screens, they are typically simple, single data entry per screen. We think that keeps it really easy, and then you don't have to worry about where you're scanning. So you just literally, you can either scan from that, you can type it, or RFID is an option for anybody that wants to do that. But typically it's barcode scanning. It fills in, and you go on to the next screen where you get more information, and that's configurable about how that information is displayed. Labeling, I talked about, and one of the challenges we've seen that people have had with Acumatica is the labeling and printing what we would call normal barcode labels on a zebra style printer. So we have that all built in. So we use the Zebra Label Designer software. You can use other software to create ZBL code that you can then integrate within our transactions. We build those in with questions to ask for label quantities and things like that. So for example, if you're receiving some product on a receiving wharf, then you will have to, potentially you might have 10 pallets of goods. You may have 20 on each one, and you may then want to have different numbers of labels and different numbers of pallets. So we have the options for you to actually choose how many labels you want and reprint them if you have some problem with the labels. We can turn all of that off. Typically in a receiving process, some people will want to print labels. Other people will have their suppliers trained well enough to deliver labels that they can use within their processes. You can choose to turn it all off, so you don't see any of that in the transactions, and you could have sometimes you may have two transactions, one with labels printed on and one with labels turned off. So you've got lots of options to make it, again, just to keep it simple for different users. We talked about the configuration, and I'll just give you a little bit of a highlight of the configuration structure and how it's set up. I'm going to start from the right-hand side of this slide. So there is transactions. There's around 20 base transactions, but each one of those can be configured differently. So you end up with a configured module. So those are the transactions that are set up for your particular environment. And those are set up, and then they are added to the menus. So one transaction may have several different versions that are attached to the menu. That then allows the menus then are attached to the users or the user groups, because you can have groups as well. And security is at two levels. One, security within our software, which allows access to various menu options and various configuration, various transactions. But also it uses the Acumatica security to make sure that you can have access to the security. You only have access to the things that you have access to within Acumatica, so to make sure that you don't infringe the Acumatica security setup. Within that, you can also have sub-projects, so you can have several sub-projects. So if you have multiple different sites, then we will be able to set up the sites with a different set of configurations, different sets of menus and different users, just to keep it easy to manage. So that's a brief overview of the software. I'm going to go into the software now and just do some demonstrations, and then we'll come back and try and answer some of your questions. I've got a lot of questions coming in, so I'll have to do my best to answer those as we go through. Okay. Let me just, sorry, I've lost my Windows. So you guys have seen my Windows of Acumatica, hopefully. So I'll just shrink that and get to the main menu of my client. So this is just a client running in my Windows environment, to make sure I'm clicking on the right thing. I'm going to log in here, log in as me. It defaults me a site and a local printer, so I can change sites if I operate on multiple sites, but typically I usually have a site that I'm associated with, and you can change sites within the app if you do want to do things on multiple sites during one login. So I'll just log in, and that comes up with my menu. I'm just going to answer a really simple question that I've just seen at the bottom from Elaine. This client is Android or Windows client. We don't currently support iPhone, although we have done in the past. We found that most of the barcode scanners have gone to people use barcode scanners. They can use Android phones, and that works equally as well. But we don't support iPhone currently. So this is our main menu. This is set up for myself, and I've got various options, and these are all configured. This is you can configure this exactly as you want. You have a last used, just like an Acumatica favorites. It just gives you what you've been used to get to things nice and quickly. And obviously on a normal Windows device, on a normal Android device, this is all touchscreen. So I'm just going to go into the purchase order side. I'm going to do a purchase order receipt. So I'm sitting on a receiving wharf, and I want to do a receipt. I've got some new goods coming in. I'm just going to just scale up this a little bit so you can see it a bit easier. So purchase order, within this transaction, I've got the options of setting the configuration so that it's just the purchase order number that I enter. And I'm just going to click next because I can't be bothered to look up my purchase order number. And the way this is configured, it allows us to give us a list of purchase orders. You can lock that down so it doesn't. So you actually have to enter a purchase order. You have to scan a purchase order or type it, or you can go in by item number. So sometimes if you're, again, suppliers are not well organized, they may not give you a purchase order number, and you end up looking for a purchase order number. So that's the one way around. Again, making it easier for people to do their jobs. I'm just going to select this purchase order and go through and have a look at this. If this was this is just giving me a confirmation screen that this is about this purchase order and who the supplier, who this vendor is, the supplier is, and that it's open. It's asking me for a vendor reference, so typically a dispatch note number, just so you have a reference to their paperwork, and that's obviously gets stored in Acumatica. What you get then is, if you had multiple lines in this purchase order, you'd see multiple lines. I've only got one line on this. I've kept it very super simple. I've got one line, and I've seen in here that I've got a number of. I've got one item, inventory ID of what I'm going to receive. I've got 1,000 on order and 130 I've already receipted. So I can just click through. If that was if I had multiple lines, it would ask me to select a line. It's asking me how many I want to receive. Let's receive 200. And what that's doing is going to set the receipt up based on your Acumatica setup. And I've got the labeling turned on, so it's now going into a labeling process. It can ask me how many I want per label. So it's saying quantity per label. Again, optional prompts. If you just want 200 on your label every time, if that's the type of business you are, then you can do that. It's asked me for my printer. That's my default printer for me. So I sent into the default printer, and that lets me do that. So it flashes up to say labels have been printed, at which point you'd get 10 labels come off with 20 on each item at whatever format you've defined for that transaction. And you can make it per transaction as the different labels. And it will pick up whatever data you want, so part numbers and purchase order numbers, lot numbers, etc., etc. I have the option to reprint, or I can just finish. So I can finish that. This actually takes me back the way I'm looping back to a line number, so I can go and do this again. But in actual fact, I just want to come out of the transaction, and I'm just going to exit to menu, so to get out of the transaction. So in purchase orders, I've just made various versions of this. I've got a receipt with no label. I've got a receipt inspection transaction. I've got a put away transaction. So I've got lots of options here. My purchase receipt puts it in a receiving location by default, and then I have a second step to put it away. Just to give you an idea, because I'm fairly short of time, I'm going to just do some inventory stuff and just do an inventory inquiry. So this item, I'm just going to have a look at. I can type in the item. I could just not put an item and just look for locations, but it's just saying that I've now got 320 in my receiving location. So it's giving me a very quick bit of information there. That can be configured to say, so if you go up to a location and you can scan the location and say, how many have I got in this location or what is it? If you want to do inventory checks, then you can do that as a version. And it will also give you all the lot numbers and all the serial number information if that's the information if that information is associated with that part. I'm going to, obviously we have production and manufacturing information, clocking on, clocking off of jobs, material issues, so issuing material, and move transactions to track big items through the production orders. And obviously when that gets to the last op, it will do the receipt into inventory and potentially print labels if you need labels or set up to print labels. I am literally on my last minute. That's gone a bit quickly, but just talk through pick and ship. So we have the option to sales order to pick, pack and ship. We can do an allocate as well, or we can split the transactions up if we have different processes where you pick the goods and then you pack and ship them. So we've got different options there in terms of how the transactions work. So that's the sort of process, the overview. The configuration screens, I'll just show you very quickly configuration screens. the configuration is all sort of web-based, allows you to set up users and the key bit and set up menus and all of your devices and things. But the key bit's the transactions piece. I am logged in. He says I've managed to, not sure what I've done to this. Let me just log in quickly. This gives us a list of the transactions. So if I pick something very simple like the purchase order receipt transaction, and it just gives you an idea of how much configuration is behind this. So this is the sort of high-level transaction details, and then we've got configuration for this. And behind all of this, I've got what things I can filter by when I originally go in, what I see in the grids and the display, what the fields are that you see when you go through, defaults in here. So whether it wants to prompt for warehouses, whether you allow a blank vendor reference when we or you force people to enter things, what you want to prompt for, and all of this allows you to transact and change the transaction to make it very simple. And that's about it, because I'm just going to get to cut off by my moderator. But we have our booth and expo that has all of our information. At the top of the chat, I've put my details and the website, so please feel free to drop me an email and I can give you any more information. And we're happy to talk through specific things that you want to do and spend some time with you to understand how our solution could help.